All right, shalom to the elect. I want to start by giving all the praises, honor, and glory to whom it rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Makakwadash. And what I said was all the praises, honor, and glory belongs to Yahweh, who was the Heavenly Father, in the name of his Son, Yahweh Shai, who was the Messiah, in the name of the Holy Spirit, which in the Hebrew is Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, ever well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. And this lesson, all right, is going into current events, man. I've been meaning to do this lesson, you know, earlier this week, so Salakia, all right, because I haven't. But here we are though. So I'm gonna share my screen here and get some of these current events, man, because man, it's been look, ever since 2025 has started, it's just been straight chaos, especially for Babylon the Great. First started off with a bang, literally. All right. You know, Trump got elected, planes falling out the sky. Now we're here with tariffs, deportations, stuff. Okay. It's only going to get worse, man. All right. It's only going to get worse. Okay. And as I'm looking this up, I might, look up some new current events as I'm speaking. And by the way, I'm going to just say now, if I go on mute or my computer freezes, Salakia. I was saying, I'm gonna say now, if I go on mute or my computer freezes, Babako Shah, just skip ahead to where I continue to talk. Okay, because sometimes it does that. All right, sometimes my computer does that, the Wi-Fi will mess up, etc. Or I'll have to go on mute. There's either somebody coming in or maybe an important phone call. So if it happens, just skip ahead. Okay. But yeah, so first you just widen this up. Bam. All right, so here we go. Then we're gonna get some scriptures, man. All right. Um, yeah, so this is I'm gonna start here. So this came out, okay, and I'm gonna be getting stuff that came out from earlier on this week up to now, etc. All right. So it says here billionaire Trump backer warns of economic nuclear winter over tariffs. All right. Now, if you don't know what a tariff is, and it's a good idea to understand these different things. You know, I mean, as far as the news and everything. You know, so what is a tariff? Okay, now here it is. It says, what is a tariff in simple terms? In simple terms, country often calculated as a percentage of the goods value. So basically, a tariff is a tax placed on imported goods. All right. For example, um, like for example, you got China giving stuff to America, right? Trump has placed a tariff, all right, or in other words, a tax on those goods being brought over here, right? So it says who pays them? The importing business or company usually pays the tariff to their home country's government. Tariffs increase the cost of imported goods, which can lead to higher prices for consumers. Yeah, stuff becomes more expensive. Okay. Now, bear with me just 1 second. It says here tariffs can be used for various reasons, including protecting domestic industries from foreign competition, raising revenue for the government, or as a tool in trade negotiations. All right. It now says impact on consumers. When a tariff is placed on an imported good, the price of that good will likely increase for consumers. All right. There's impact on businesses. Businesses that rely on imported goods may have to pay higher costs, which can impact their profits and competitiveness. Now, it's an impact on consumers. Yeah, stuff gets more expensive. When stuff gets more expensive, it's hard to come by. And that can drive people crazy. Okay, and that can um, make chaos, which we know is coming. Here it says retaliatory tariffs. When one country imposes tariffs, because this is the buzzword of the week, tariffs. It says when one country imposes tariffs on another country's goods, the other country may retaliate by imposing tariffs on goods from the first country, leading to a trade war. So, nevertheless, we are in war. You could say we're in a war. But let me read this. So it says this came out, I believe, Monday of this week in April. It says billionaire Trump backer warns of economic nuclear winter over tariffs. It says a billionaire backer of Donald Trump has urged the U.S. president to pause his recently announced trade tariffs or risk a self-induced economic nuclear winter. And the thing is, as I'm going through this, we go through the news and stuff, the current events and all that. Hey, um, you could just see Babylon is going down. Okay, I mean, we are watchmen, all right, as well. Okay, it's going through the news. We're not literal news reporters, all right, but we know we're watchmen. We're watching to see these prophecies come to pass. See where things is going. All of these different things, man. All right, but the thing is, like, unlike these news reporters, we link it up with the scriptures. All right, show you where stuff is going, etc. All right, our prophets as well. It says amid market turmoil, hedge fund manager Bill Ackman said the president should take 3 months to allow countries to renegotiate their trade with JP Morgan Chase chairman Jamie Dimon saying that Trump's tariffs risk pushing up prices for Americans. See? It's going to get expensive. Despite the shockwaves, the American president is moving ahead, with the White House rushing to label a rumor he might put new tariffs on pause as fake news. Now it says the rumor on Monday morning that Trump was considering. All right, so let me just see where it gets down to. So yeah, basically that I believe. You know, saying that what Trump's tariffs risk pushing up prices for Americans, so stuff could get expensive, stuff could get hard to come by. You know. Now, also you got all these different countries linking up together with each other, man. You know. Now I believe recently, all right, a week ago it said China, Japan, South Korea will jointly respond to U.S. tariffs, but 2 days ago it says Korea isn't going to join hands with them to fight tariffs. Okay. And the thing is, you can see how, like, Trump, what he's doing is basically is like, causing all these tariffs and all of that. It's causing countries to link together. Now it says Korea ain't going to do it, but it didn't say China and Japan ain't going to be together, against Babylon. You see, so like I was saying, man, Trump is like he's like a good embodiment for Edom in America. Okay, he's red as fuck. Okay, and he's proud. America's a prideful country, and Esau is red. All right, but we know that a bunch of nations are going to be um against America in the end. A bunch of nations are going to be ganged up. You know, now this it says Trump tariff. Now this came out. It says it was up. This is like 4 hours ago. But look, because you've been watching Trump, man. Yo, This man is going crazy with tariffs. All right. It says here is live update by Joseph Stepinski, April 10th, 2025, which is today, I believe. Yep, Thursday. It says Trump tariff updates. China hit with 145% duties, because I believe that's also what a tariff is called. All right. See, tariff. A tariff is a duty imposed by national government, customs, territory, or supranational union on imports of goods. All right, because they Trump just been scaling it up with China, man. All right. So it says Trump China hit with 145% tariffs as Wall Street slides, man. Okay. You know, well, look, you got some more. It says the White House clarified that it was actually imposing tariffs totaling 145% on China, combining the previously announced 125% rate with a 20% import tax levy for fentanyl smuggling. Trump confirmed that his so-called reciprocal tariffs would not return after a 90-day pause if deals were not reached to reduce the trade deficits between the U.S. and other countries. The State Department said a U.S. Iran meeting on Saturday in Oman will show if Tehran is serious about returning to nuclear talks. So that's another thing that's supposed to happen. You know, Trump is threatening um, about nuclear talks, man. Okay, and we know Iran is going to be used. Iran is mentioned in a Bible prophecy. Okay, but they're known as Persia. All right, as well, and we know who their out. One of their major allies is Russia. Now it says a federal judge blocked Trump's move to end humanitarian, and this be something to look out for. Them meeting on Saturday, U.S. and Iran. Says a federal judge blocked Trump's move to end humanitarian parole for hundreds of thousands of Haitians, Cubans, but as well as Nicaraguans currently living in the U.S. Separately, another judge ruled that a mandate requiring undocumented people to register with the U.S. government can stand. The U.S. stock market closed in a slump, erasing some gains in yesterday's rally as the reality of the U.S.-China trade war sets in. You know, this man is going down. Okay, and that was 3 hours ago. Came out 4 hours ago now. All right. you know, Trump is basically turning all these nations against America. Basically, okay. He's fucking up the stock market. This is Nero coming back, man. This is Nero coming back in the reincarnation. Another thing, China, retaliatory tariffs, you know, says China's 84% retaliatory tariff on U.S. goods takes effect. China pledges to follow through to the end if the U.S. insists on a trade war but calls for dialogue based on respect. See, a steep 84% tariff on all United States goods entering China has kicked in, ratcheting up a trade war with Washington while calling for a dialogue on a basis of mutual respect and equality. Okay? Now, let me just look up something real quick. Oh, shit. Shalakia. This thing is moving slow. Once again, if it freezes, if I freeze in the middle of my speech or anything, just skip ahead to where I continue to talk. All right? Um, just curious. Let me see. Okay, let me see if this will come up. How will Trump's China tariffs? Because I think another thing tariffs are supposed to do is, since it makes those things expensive, try to make you, shop more for you know businesses within your own country. Basically, I believe that's another thing tariffs are supposed to have an effect about. Says what to know about the latest China tariffs and what they mean. You know, um, okay. um, okay, here it says what could get more expensive because of the tariffs on China. China's factories produce more than those in the United States, Germany, Japan, South Korea, and Britain combined. And many of the products imported to the United States come from China. Check that out. See? And I mean, you understand this because in Revelation 18, it talks about the merchants of the earth and everything, because US imports a lot of goods from around the world, right? It says the increased tariffs will have significant repercussions on the American economy. Wendog Zhang, an assistant professor of applied economics and policy at Cornell, told the New York Times on Wednesday. China is a major source of imported consumer electronics in the United States, 73% smartphones, 78% laptops, and 87% of video game consoles. And this is a lot of stuff people have, okay, especially in this day and age since everything is electronic, man. All right, you know, so that stuff could get more expensive, and everybody, waiting for that. Everybody, everybody wants to, most people, a lot of people want a new game console. Let me say that. All right. As China also exports 77% of the toys coming to the United States. So this is gonna be a whole bunch of could be a whole bunch of sad children. Says low cost clothing could get more expensive. Yeah, low cost clothing. Because yeah, the discount retailers Shein and Temu rely on Chinese vendors and make up about 17% of the discount e-commerce market in the United States for fast fashion, toys, and other consumer goods, according to the Congressional Research Service. Yeah, all that. Okay, they use all these things. All right, but that stuff will get more expensive. See, now you know. Now you got to humble down a little bit. It says, in addition to the tariffs, those companies will be affected by the closure of a loophole that allow retailers to send goods directly to American consumers without paying taxes. All right. Said, will groceries get more expensive? When Mr. Trump initially instituted tariffs on Mexico and Canada, in February, grocery prices seem likely to rise because Mexico and Canada are two of the largest exporters of food to the United States. The president later suspended those tariffs under the provisions of the U.S. Mexico Canada Agreement, which probably prevented tariff related price increases on products like avocados from Mexico, all right, et cetera, et cetera. All right. But shoppers could also see prices go up on coffee and on wine. So yeah, it's going to affect in general, man. All right. So yeah, there's going to be some effects. All right. Now another thing too. Trump said this that earlier in the week. Get this. Trump says he'd love to deport U.S. citizens to El Salvador gulags if it's legal. You know, and like the brother GMS Watchman had put up a video saying some brothers are going to be sent to places like El Salvador. You know, and I can see it. Okay. Shit could really get extreme, especially when the persecution comes, because they got things like these for Trump got these Trump saying he would love to send like the worst of the worst criminals. So they're gonna try to make a campaign against us. But I mean it is what it is. Okay. You know? That but let me get this scripture actually. All right. Revelation 2, verse 10. And it says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, which is any amount of time. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." So we already expect things like this to happen. Okay, it's nothing new. Our brothers have read over this verse hundreds of times. Okay, literally. All right, we expect that. We know it's gonna happen. All right, it's not like it ain't. We know these type of things is gonna happen, man. You know, just a matter of when. However, though, that's not gonna take the elect out of faith. This is the book of Romans, chapter 8, starting at verse. I'm gonna get to the point. Verse 35. Jump down. Is who shall separate us from the love of Hamashiach? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution, see, or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? Jumping down verses 38 to 39. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life nor angels nor principalities nor powers nor things present nor things to come nor height nor depth nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of Yahweh, which is in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai our Lord. You see, so nothing can separate the elect and take them out of the truth and separate them from the Lord. Nothing can separate the elect. You see, so it don't matter if Trump, as they like to call him, President Trump, giving him that grand title. It doesn't matter if even he deported brothers out there or wherever, you know, or sent brothers wherever when that time comes. Okay, you see. And it says the Trump administration. I'm gonna just read this. It says the Trump administration has already admitted in court that it deported a Maryland father to El Salvador in error and is currently fighting a court order to bring him back. Now, President Donald Trump is openly flirting with the prospect of deporting American citizens to the same explicitly cruel and dehumanizing mega prison, too. Okay? And I mean, if Trump was, thinking about doing stuff like this, why wouldn't he bring back the death penalty? You see? Like that's the thing. Why wouldn't he? Okay. It just makes sense. If he's doing, things like this and trying to do all these, make all these feats, these high feats, grand tasks and all that, trying to get things done, so called, why wouldn't he, bring back the death penalty? He already is trying to do it for drug dealers and everything. All right. See? These are gonna play out one way or the other. All right. Moving on. So, because remember they're gonna talk. All right, they're gonna talk. Okay, they're gonna talk. They're gonna have a talk with each other. You know. Um. It's like I don't want to play the video. Um, I don't know why Reuters isn't showing up. But basically, it says Trump repeats threat to use military force if Iran does not agree to the nuclear deal. Let me just see something. Um, let me see. All right, well, this came out a day ago. It says Russia says bombing Iran will not work after Trump threats. Russia signals response to possible U.S. attack on Iran. Putin attacks Trump for threatening Iran nuke sites. Russia calls Trump threats to bomb Iran illegal and unacceptable. So Russia is stepping up in there. See, Russia has a big part to play in Bible prophecy. See, Russia and Iran are going to be allied, you know, at the close of this man's eon. Okay, so let me just write some down. All right, you know, so you got that. Okay, what else we got? Now this was just going back to the stock market. Okay, now you look you look at it. Okay, let me see if I can zoom in. All right, here it says the U.S. and most of these are red. So the stock market is crashing. Okay, okay, only this one, that gold one is green, but everything else is crashing. Okay, all that stuff is crashing. Nasdaq, S&P, crude, global, Dow Jones, all that. And now, so I typed it on Google, right? How is it bad if a stock market is down? It says a declining stock market can be detrimental for investors as it leads to potential losses on their investments, reduces overall portfolio value, and can negatively impact financial planning for retirement or other future goals. And that's the thing, okay? You know, and ultimately, we understand that because people that invest and think about future goals and all that, they don't understand it. Eventually, all this stuff is going to come to an end. Okay? All this stuff is going to come to an end, man. The scriptures already told us that. The book of Second Ezra, chapter 16, starting at verse 40. It says, "O my people, hear my word, make you ready to that battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth." And a pilgrim is someone who moves around. So when all hell breaks loose, you know, um, you know, we're supposed to be as pilgrims, okay, moving around, not staying in one place, but you on the move. See, scriptures is telling us, basically, in those times, be like that. Verse 41: He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth is one that will lose. He that occupieth the merchandise is he that hath no profit by it, and he that buildeth is he that shall not dwell therein. He that soweth as if he should not reap, so also he that planteth the vineyard is he that shall not gather the grapes. They that marry is they that shall get no children, and they that marry not as the widowers. And therefore they that labor in vain. All right, because all this stuff is going to get destroyed. So it's telling you, basically don't have that mindset. Pretty much, no, have the mindset that the thing that, basically like the physical things we have here is temporary. That's what the scriptures is telling you. We understand that. I understand that, man. I feel that all the time. Even when I get something, all right, that may be like, something to me at least, I understand it's temporary. Okay. You gotta be ready to willing to give these things up. You see? But how you think these people feel? They didn't put time and energy, okay, into investing and all. Let's call it investing. Let me look that word up. Investing. So you're putting the investing investments into the wrong thing. You know, I mean, if they're a heathen, it don't matter. But if they're Jake, yeah, they do. They put it into the wrong thing. Invest. All right. Uh, Add them online. You don't have to just invest your money. All right. I put the word invest. It says to clothe and official robes. No. All right. It says use money to produce profit. No. All right. Okay. It doesn't show how I want it. All right. I thought it would be, but basically, they putting their time and energy and money. They're putting all that into the wrong things. Their hopes are I want to say the word futile, if that's a word. Well, it is a word, but yeah, pointless, futile, and producing any useful result. Pointless. Yeah, their hopes are basically futile, man. Okay, you invest in and all of that, and in hopes of future goals and all of that other stuff, man. All right, not understanding that all hell is going to break loose. Okay, and then people will also invest to grow money and all that, I believe. But what the scriptures also say this, man. This is the book of Proverbs 11, verse 4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. And the day of wrath is coming, aka Jacob's trouble, and the day of the Lord. All right, you know, because the Lord gonna keep, his elect, you know, I believe for the most part alive, because some brothers are gonna be martyrs, all right, but not all the elect's gonna die. So the Lord gonna keep brothers alive, the ones that He does, you know, in that day. And it's not because of their money, you see, and their money ain't gonna help them in that day. All right, it's their righteousness and their relationship with Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Ultimately, that they are the elect. Okay, but you know, it's not money. All right, see. Hey, so it says here. It says so. Going back to this, what if a stock market is down? It says it can also create a sense of unease and potential for panic selling, which can further exacerbate losses. So it says financial law. Says here's a more detailed look at why a stock market downturn can be problematic because you have financial losses, economic and social impact. Uh, then gives you other considerations, etc. All right. So let me continue moving on. Let me look this up now. Uh, huh. That says Democrats lit the assassination culture fuse. Now their silence equals violence. All right. It also says here, how much longer will Democrats accept their supporters escalating calls for violence? Because you had this, hands-off protest which happened, like 2 days ago. All right. I believe even on Saturday. Okay. All these people protesting against what Trump is doing. All right. And the thing is, another thing, right? Because I was thinking, because they people talking about Trump, possibly declaring martial law on April 20th, right? And let me just look up something, man, because I was thinking like, what if, what it could be, a problem reaction solution type thing. It could be one of those, where they cause it, they cause, you know, pretty much causing something so something else can happen because Esau does that, right? Um, I was thinking, what if these protests are set up to happen, so Trump, has a right or has an advantage or pretty much ammunition to call for martial law. Let me just type this in. Why would a president declare martial law? It says martial law was declared for these reasons: twice for war or invasion, 7 times for domestic war or insurrection, 11 times for riot or civil unrest, 29 times for labor dispute, 4 times for natural disaster, 50 times for other reasons. And we know civil unrest is coming. Okay, but as you see, people you know, see, boycott Tesla, stop months crimes, overthrow the oligarchs, all that type of stuff. People coming against their government. You know, I want to say, well, it's like the scripture I just had just fled my mind, man. Oh, let me get this one. This is uh, Slovakia. This man, we really in the times, man, for real. Okay, we're really in those times, Un, undoubtedly. Okay, if you ask me. Second Ezra 9, starting in verse 1, it says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and what now see is part of the signs past, which I have told thee before. When you see the prophets, so basically gauge the time you're living in with the scriptures, right? Now, and when you see the prophecies come to pass, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Then you're going to understand this that time the Lord pretty much going to start, basically judging the world. Verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, which we had that, you had Thailand, all right, I believe in Japan recently too, and uproars, meaning protests of the people in the world. People are protesting all over the world. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, from the beginning. He spoke about these things from the beginning by his prophets. See? So we in those times, all right? We're definitely in those times. Gauge the times you live in. Understand the times that you live in, man. Okay? But I could definitely see Trump declaring martial law, without a doubt. I could definitely see that happening. All right. But there was something else. Oh, let me just finish with this because I uh I was thinking about this is all I could be well not all, but it's one of the main couple of verses I was thinking about, you know, all this stuff is going on. Second Ezra 16, starting in verse 1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia, and woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Woe meaning death and destruction, when that's all that's coming to America. Verse 2, gird up yourselves with clothes. Look, the Lord ain't gonna save America, man. Ain't nothing America could do to make the Lord save it. From the beginning, the Lord was gonna destroy America anyhow. All right, when you understand that, the Lord has everything set up. Okay, so basically, man, you know, this America's going downhill. It's a sinking ship. It is a sinking ship for America, man. It's a sinking ship. All right. And there's going to be more plagues to come upon this place. Verse 3, a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? Yeah. A fire is sent among you, who may quench it? Plagues are sent, and ultimately the missiles are going to be sent. Okay. Again, nobody stop it. Verse 5, plagues is not even a dome, which Trump talked about. All right. Verse 5, plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? Yeah. The Lord gonna send more plagues, man. And nobody could drive them away, not even Trump. Talk about make America great again. It ain't gonna be great again. All right. It ain't even great now. All right. The only time America was great was, you could say prior to 1969. All right. Basically. But verse 6, may any man drive away an hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire and stubble when it hath begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? And these are rhetorical questions. The mighty Lord sent the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? Nobody. All right. So all the destruction and chaos coming to America, man. All right. Can't nobody stop. All right. Because the Lord purpose is to destroy this place. He's just gonna keep doing it. And I believe I forget what the brother said it, but basically the Lord is destroying America from the inside out. Basically. That's what the Lord is doing. All right. But let me see some more about this assassination culture thing. All right. If it's what I think it is. Okay. Mm. It says in New York, a man dressed up as Luigi of Super Mario Bros. To honor Luigi Mangione the alleged murderer of healthcare executive Brian Thompson. He carried a sign calling for Trump to be deposed, that is, violently overthrown. And we understand Trump was on the, the Simpsons showed Trump in a casket. Okay, it was one hell of a year, boy. I'm telling you. All right. Let me see. Hmm. Oh yeah, okay. So it says one. Let me just see if I can get to the point. It says protesters vandalized ICE and DHS, which is Department of Homeland Security vehicles in Washington D.C. They're facing several and punch. They're facing several and puncturing their tires after weeks of viral videos of people keying, graffitiing, or burning Teslas permeated social media. And I guess this is a picture of people. One of the things that happened. Yeah, because they don't like what Elon is doing. All right, and Elon gonna bring about the more than likely, you know, you know, we know he probably gonna have something to do with it, you know, because he already. I mean, he has. Huh. Check this out. It says why C-Hip Technology Inc. went up on Wednesday. If this don't show now, all right. Might gotta do a separate lesson on this. Um, it says we recently published a list. Let me see. Hmm. All right, you know what? I'm gonna come back to that. Okay, I'm probably gonna look through it. Probably gonna do a separate lesson if it's anything. Okay. Yeah. This is this is definitely something to look up now. Oh yeah, that's another topic. Okay, because it's talking about C-Hip sparks curiosity. Uh it says C-Hip technology levels amid big swings in stock price, you know, etc. Let me see. It says the world's most advanced charagma has been unveiled. On April 1st, the Taiwanese manufacturer introduced the world's most advanced C-Hip. Mass production is expected for the second half of the year. Check that out. All right. Yeah. Mm, Let me just look up some of these things. I'm press news. All right. So it says, I'm going to read some of this. It says, watch these C-Hip technology levels amid big swings in stock price. Says key takeaways: C-Hip technology shares could remain on watch lists after tumbling 14% Thursday to lead C-Hip stocks lower during a broad post rally sell-off for U.S. equities. This week's price swings have occurred on the highest trading volume since February 2017 as investors take bets on the chip maker's next move. C-Hip stocks lower during a broad post rally sell-off for U.S. equities. All right, let me see. It says C-Hip stocks such as C-Hip as micro, this is which makes silicon used in everything from consumer electronics to automotive systems, have remained particularly volatile against the backdrop of tariff uncertainty that has weighed heavily on consumer and business confidence, those key customers that drive chip makers' earnings. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna look some more into this. All right, but that's basically the current events. All right, for this, been going on this week. All right, and around this week, basically. So, hey, look, Lord willing, the Lord, brings all these things to pass real soon, man. Okay, Lord willing. All right, you know, because Babylon is finished, and it can't be healed, it can't be brought back. Babylon is finished, man. All right. So, yeah. So, hey, with that, all right, I'm gonna give all the praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, ever well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. Shalom to the elect.